Hey everybody, Daddy back again, and this time I'm joined by my main man, Sucaba. Sucaba, say hello to the people.
How we doing, everybody? Happy to be here.
Literally dozens will watch this.
Yes, dozens.
So, big playoff match this week. So we're going up against Electric. Electric has, in my opinion, I think one of the scariest teams in the league. I think I had them third in the Daddy Div power rankings at the beginning of the season. It was me first, then Tay, then Electric. So I wasn't too far off with those top three. I don't know.
You got some good predicting there.
Yeah.
Daddy confidence.
So what stands out to you about Electric's team in this matchup specifically? What were some of the things we were looking out for?
Yeah, I mean, it's a scary team in a lot of ways into your matchup. Latias can always put in some work. It's got to be one of the best dragons in this format. Aggron was a big one that was good against your team that we noticed. Quillfish matches up pretty well too as a counter to Sylveon. He's got really solid top 5 too. Just Lycanroc is solid. Rabombi, Thundurus, always going to do work with Prankster. Thunder Waves being annoying like that. But yeah, he's from top to bottom. It's a pretty scary squad. So we had our work cut out for us with this one.
Yeah, we definitely talked about a pretty not huge fairy weakness, but Sylveon looked pretty good into this team.
Yeah.
Not unstoppable, but solid. I was pretty convinced that these top 3 would come. And Aggron, I think we were pretty sold on.
Yeah, Aggron was 100% bring.
Pumpkaboo, Imprisoned Pumpkaboo was something that we talked about as well.
Yeah.
Because Trick Room looks really good into Electric's team.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that stood out the most in our initial team builder conversation was that, like, when you look at the speed tiers between these two teams, and you look at his ability to stop a Trick Room from going up, it seems like a good avenue to plan around a win for your squad. Just given, like, I don't know if it's worth trying to keep up with the speed game in other ways. I think Trick Room's a pretty attractive option here. His main options for dealing with it are Aggron, which we game plan some answers for, or like you said, Imprisoned Pumpkaboo, which feels kind of weak. So Trick Room looks pretty good this week for you for sure.
Yeah. We weren't really scared of the Pumpkaboo in prep.
No.
And here's the squad that we discussed, and I think I might have made a couple little changes after we talked. But obviously we had the the big Dusknoir Trick Room set with Will-O-Wisp because Electric's team has really high offense, physical attack. And then Helping Hand I switched to Shadow Sneak, I believe, before the game. Okay. Other than that, everything is the same. So bulky, so it survives just about anything. I think it's calced to always survive Sharpedo Crunch. I think that was the...
Yeah, I think we calced it for Life Orb as well. So unless he's banned, you should be good on that one.
Yeah. I think I even might have calced it for banned later, but either way, whatever. Like, unlikely, but...
And then the Mental Herb, obviously, that's the only other way you can stop your Trick Room, is either doubling Dusknoir or taunting it. So the Mental Herb covers for that. You put Fake Out on Morgrim to help get a guaranteed Trick Room, unless he brings Pumpkaboo. So that's your definitely you definitely have a way to get Trick Room up every time if you want to play that game.
Yeah, exactly. That was the plan. And then the Trick Lagging Tail, just as another form of speed control in case for some reason the Fake Out Trick Room didn't work out. And then Light Screen. Foul Play was, I think, a pretty good choice into Electric's team, doing a lot of damage to a lot of mons there. And then it was kind of like Light Screen or Reflect. Well, we already have Will-O-Wisp, so maybe just throw a Light Screen on there.
It's good to diversify with that.
Yeah.
Lagging Tail's also good. I know you mentioned, we talked about like the possibility of him putting Iron Ball or Room Service on Aggron as a way to underspeed in Trick Room. So that was good as well to put the Lagging Tag on there to cover for that option.
Yeah, and then Sylveon, of course, just massive damage into a lot of Electric's team. A couple things resisting Fairy, but those mons aren't very strong. Magmar and Quillfish, maybe something else. Aggron, of course, right? So, just basically chunking things with Hyper Voice. We initially planned on maybe Helping Hand Hyper Voice. So nothing really shocking here with Sylveon other than the choice specs. Felt a little bit better than Throat Spray this week.
Yeah, I think just the pure damage up. Like if you look at the type chart, I mean, he has a lot of his team is weak to Fairy or not. He doesn't have much to resist it. He's got Aggron and Quillfish, which I think we've accounted for in other ways. So Sylveon seems pretty free to just be a damage dealer in this matchup, spamming Hyper Voice.
Yeah, Dragonite there, just in case we decide not to go the Trick Room route. Dual Wing Beat looks good into things like Rabombi. Dragon Claw for more big stab damage. Dragon Dance set here to outspeed anything at +1 unless it's Scarfed. And then Superpower for the Aggron, combined with the White Herb, felt kind of nice. White Herb there in case he tries to drop my speed with Scary Face or lower the Dragonite's attack.
He also has Intimidate on Quillfish.
Right. And Quillfish is something we talked a lot about in prep. Yeah. Definitely afraid.
I mean, that's really the other thing. That's like the only thing he can do to counter Sylveon aside from Aggron is the Quillfish. And Quillfish, honestly, you don't have many ways to hit Quillfish super effectively. You have Psyshock on Sylveon, which is nice. But hopefully, with a Will-O-Wisp even, I think you'll be able to have enough to deal with it.
Yeah, and it also felt like Magnezone just handles it no matter what.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
So we did have the Magnezone here. Kind of standard stuff. Ally Switch in here for some trickery, for some coverage, for shenanigans, if you will. Iron Defense Body Press, because this thing is super, super bulky.
Also, great defensive matchup into his team.
Yeah, very good. And it covers the weaknesses, right? The Fairy Dragon Steel Core. They look out for each other, right? Air Balloon for those pesky ground moves that Magnezone does not like. And then the very, very unique Golisopod set here. Nobody's ever seen this before.
Never before.
Assault Vest. And then Golisopod has a very good move pool. So you see Leech Life is most of the time coming. Liquidation, very strong. Close Combat, very strong. Aqua Jet, but we missed out on First Impression. We missed out on Sucker Punch, right?
It's a great move pool.
Yeah,
for sure.
Golisopod is very, very good. And I nominated it for something, so go vote for it.
I will. I'll take a look at I haven't looked at the awards yet.
Yeah.
So I see you opted for Close Combat too. I know you were considering Drill Run for Quillfish.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Close Combat's the play, just because you can Oko Aggron, and you outspeed it in Trick Room as well, which is really huge to help out Sylveon.
Yeah. So I kind of left what I felt like was a little bit of a Quillfish hole here. Like, I feel like I was a little scared of Quillfish going into this matchup, but then we see what Electric brought, and there's no Quillfish, so I'm excited. Right.
All right, so we see the Aggron, which we expected. Pumpkaboo's kind of a surprise. I know we talked about it a lot as being like one of the only ways you can stop your Trick Room with Imprison. Mm-hmm. But we also said, listen, if you're leading Dusknoir anyway, if it wants to Imprison in front of that, it just eats a Poltergeist and dies. I don't really think he has a way to keep it alive. I'm not sensing Pumpkaboo as a really super strong mon, but maybe I'll be surprised by the replay. So I'm excited to see.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw it too. A lot of things here we talked about, we expected. Surfetched was not something that we really even discussed. I didn't think it would be coming, but I see it, and I'm not terrified because I have...
Yeah, Sylveon seems like it... I don't really think it has anything for Sylveon, honestly.
Yeah.
And generally, his team seems pretty... Like, this seems like a free Sylveon game.
Yeah.
Aside from Aggron, which we have options for.
That's how I felt going into it. So we'll jump right in, and I went with that lead that we talked about. So Trick Room looked good here, and that's what I decided to start off with.
Right.
So
I like the shiny Morgrem too.
Oh, everything's shiny this week, baby. Any surprises here on the other side? We see the choice specs and the Life Orb come out.
So it's specs Thunderous, huh? Is that what I'm seeing, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Epiploid and then Life Orb. So he went for a heavy damage lead. The Fake Out is really important here because with the specs, and the Life Orb, that's heavy damage. He could probably threaten Dusknoir if you don't. So I'm glad you went with this lead. I would probably Fake Out Thunderous, yep, and then eat whatever comes from Flygon, get my Trick Room up for sure.
Yep, and that's exactly what happens.
Quake does a lot of damage.
So it was a crit into the Dusknoir.
I bet this Thunderous is Discharge. He probably was trying to do some Disc Quake shenanigan.
Sure is what it seems like.
Does Thunderous get discharged? Yeah, it does.
Does.
There it is. All right, so Morgrim dies. We kind of talked about that as not being the worst thing in the world. So now you get your free Sylveon switch. Hyper Voice is going to be devastating here for him. I'd probably target the Thunderous with my Dusknoir, or maybe even switch it and see what happens. I'm wondering how much it'll do to Flygon. I don't know if you calced it.
I did not. I'm assuming quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is basically exactly what we wanted. The crit on that first Earthquake hurts a little bit, but we're still looking. This is kind of the position I wanted to come out in, right, by this time of the game. So feeling pretty good. So I was wrong. I don't know why I lied to you. I did not switch it to Shadow Sneak. I thought I did for some reason. It's been a while.
So Helping Hand Hyper Voice, you would think KO's a Flygon. It's not that strong.
KO's everything.
Look at that. I mean, that's exactly how we drew it up.
Exactly.
You couldn't have had a better turn right there.
Yeah. So far, it's perfection. We see Rabambi come out, and that thing is going to be real slow and trick room, and there's the room service. Right?
Oh yeah, there is the room service. So, I mean, you have a couple options here. What did you bring in the back? I'm not sure I saw. What was your third mon? Mag?
It hasn't come out yet.
Or Glycopod? If you brought Magnezone, I'd probably switch it in, because I'm sure that there's a Steel move coming into the Sylveon slot here, since it underspeeds. You know, maybe you get a Will-O-Wisp slot. I don't think Aggron would be targeting Dusknoir here, so I'd probably try to protect the Sylveon personally. And that's exactly what you did, so that's good. Oh, he does target the Dusk, so he probably read you there.
Yeah, good call out.
Yep. Not the worst thing either, though. I think we calced it. I don't think the Heavy Slam will OHKO the Sylveon, but an Ally Switch is a good reveal here, too.
Yeah, I felt, I was kind of nervous about revealing it this early into the set, but I need it, right? I felt like I needed it now.
Yeah, no, that's a really good play, honestly. That's probably your best bet.
Yeah, especially with the Trick Room ending here, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the good news about Trick Room ending there is that you actually outspeed Aggron now.
Exactly.
So that's not even that bad. The Hyper Voice, I'm assuming you click it again, takes out Rabambi too. Yeah, that's a solid game one. Good game plan. Well, let's see how Electric adjusts in game two.
So everything worked to perfection here. It's all about how Electric adjusts, right? So
for sure. I mean, if I'm you, I'm doing the same thing. See, I'm begging him to find a way to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if he leads the same way, it's probably over, right?
Okay, so there's presumably his Trick Room answer. So he sees your lagging tail. Yep. So
and Mental Herb. And I see Eviolite and Sash, which we assumed, right?
Yeah.
We knew.
Well, you already saw the Sash anyway. Right. So I mean, you have a couple options here. I probably wouldn't Trick Room in front of this, just because the Imprison is kind of scary. You know that the Pumpkaboo's not Sash, so I'm wondering how much a Poltergeist will do. I know you don't have attack investment, so I'm sure it lives it. But removing that from the field seems pretty good. I know Morgrim's threatened by Rabambi right now, but you still have a Fake Out. So Fake Out Rabambi and then Poltergeist into Pumpkaboo seems pretty good.
Fake Out does not work into Rabambi, right?
Oh, that's right. Shield Dust.
Okay.
And you can't Fake Out the Pumpkaboo
exactly.
either,
So here's the play I go for. So I trick, take that Eviolite, give him the lagging tail.
Ah, smart.
So now we eat the Moonblast, barely. There's the Imprison.
Yeah. Imprison Trick Room, just like we wrote it up. Ah, and he has Poltergeist. Yeah. Interesting.
So this is a misplay on my part. I thought, because I tricked the lagging tail, I thought that I would get the Poltergeist first. That's just poor knowledge of the game.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought that it would make Pumpkaboo go last, but that's not until next turn. So
oh, it doesn't apply on the first turn out?
It does not. Yeah. So we both learned something.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
that's smart. See, I wasn't even thinking that the Imprison would also affect the Poltergeist. The good news is, so do you have Shadow Sneak on this set or no?
I do not. I kept the Helping Hand. I think I switched it to Shadow Sneak, and then I think I switched it back. I can't remember, but I know that was like the one move slot I was really playing around with. Okay. But yeah, it is Helping Hand. So
it's a good adjustment by Electric. This is a good position for him.
Yeah, really nice play by Electric. I feel kind of dumb for making this misplay here, but also really good prep, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he definitely thought about that. So yeah, I think the switch out's smart. You could probably Poltergeist the Rabambi then. Or no, you can't use it at all.
Can't use it at all.
That's right. So let's see. Will-O-Wisp. Makes sense. Now it's not really doing much out there at all. It wasn't really doing much anyway, aside from the imprison. So struggle bug, special attack drop kind of sucks. I'm assuming an electric move going to that slot. A lot of damage, which is nice. This is a pretty passive position for him, I think. I don't think you're too upset with what's going on right now, honestly.
Agreed. I think it's kind of a misplay. I don't know. I feel like looking back on it now, should I maybe have iron defensed in the face of this, right? But I guess I'm probably never killing the Rabambi if I do that.
I mean,
right?
you could probably still do that here in this position.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rabambi doesn't threaten Magnezone, and neither does the Pumpkaboo.
Yeah.
And then what does he probably have in the back? You know, I'm not really sure he has anything to do. Like, Magnezone is honestly great into the 6 that he brought to the match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't have anything that can hit it.
Yeah.
Really. Unless he has, like, a ground move on Aggron, which he probably does. I mean,
right.
Flygon, obviously, good, but...
So Poltergeist doing very little into the Dusknoir.
Yeah. Oh, that's after the burn, right?
Yes.
Which is good. Some more special attack drops. Rabambi still dies to a Thunderbolt. Nice. So then he gets a free switch. Pretty good position for him now because you're kind of in a shitty situation with your Magnezone half special attack. So he brings in Surf Fetched. So... Alright, good switch, predicting the close combat or something into that slot. Yep, nice.
But
So even with the Scrappy, I think you're fine sacking the Dusknoir there.
I think so too, but I didn't know that Surfetched had Scrappy either. So like I don't know. I feel like a couple of things this game that I should have known. You know, I should have done my research.
Maybe it could have been you could have just switched in Sylveon to that slot as well. And then saved. That also would have been good because then you would have got the reset on the special attack for Magnezone. Because now you're in a weird situation where you kind of have to switch it here, or you're just accepting that you're half damage for the rest of the match.
Right.
But this is a good Hyper Voice here. He doesn't really have anything to hit it.
It's a nice protect.
Good. Yeah.
Hyper Voice still good damage.
Very good. Definitely. And you get a fake out now too, which is big. So yeah, I would fake out the Aggron as well. It's the only thing threatening your Sylveon. Ooh, the crit mattered. 100%, right?
100%.
Yeah,
but I think Electric mentioned something about how high is the crit chance on that? It's very high, right? With Leak. I don't know. Another thing I didn't know, right? So
I don't know if it's that high. What is it, like 25%? It can't be. It's not 50. It's not like he has a scope lens.
I don't know.
Is that what Leak does? It's not scope lens level crit, is it?
I truly do not know.
Yeah, that's tough. Now this is looking pretty bleak because presumably he has a ground move. Yeah, that's GG. So it was a good adjustment by him.
So that's a wrap.
Game 2, yeah.
So we just tricked to not reveal any of the other Morgrem moves.
And that's smart.
Yeah, really, really nice adjustment by Electric here. I think he played game 2 really well.
Honestly, I think if Sylveon lives that, I think you win.
I think so too. Yeah.
Because Pumpkaboo's not doing anything burned in the back.
Yeah.
And then if you kill... Yeah, Aggron would have died after the fake out. You would have outsped the next turn with a Hyper Voice. That would have been the wrap.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate.
He
played well.
It's unfortunate, but I think Electric played to his outs, played it really well.
Absolutely.
I think I need to have a little bit better matchup knowledge. I think I made a couple misplays just because I wasn't aware of certain interactions. But yeah, here we go. We'll jump into game 3 here.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see what he does here too.
Yeah. So what lead are you expecting here?
From him?
Yeah.
Or from you?
From both.
If I'm him, I don't know. I mean, this is where you make the big bucks, right? This is where you like show your strength as a coach. Is like after you show that you can lose to something game 1, you counter at game 2. You know, that's where the mental battle really is in game 3 leads. So, you know, he has a couple options. Maybe he has something else that, you know, he hasn't revealed yet that he's going to whip out in game 3. Maybe he leads the Pumpkaboo again. I don't think we'll be seeing the Thundurus lead again. I would probably expect Pumpkaboo again, and him dare you to stop his imprison somehow.
Exactly what I expected. I expected him to lead the Pumpkaboo thing again. And I know that unless I trick that Eviolite, Morgrem is dying, so I decided to go with a different lead. And he goes back to the opening lead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Like, the mind games come into play. You know?
Yeah, huge.
Dragonite's good, though.
Yeah, Dragonite seems okay. And there's a lot riding on this lead here, right?
Yeah. I'd say I'm wondering how much a Specs Thunderbolt does to a Dragonite. With multiscale, it probably helps.
We'll find out here.
Let's see. Discharge. Not that much.
So,
Oh.
big call out here. Now, I think if I keep Sylveon in, things might go differently, right?
Yeah.
Getting that Hyper Voice
Getting a
off.
Hyper Voice off. You would have KO'd both you showed in game 1. Actually, that was with a helping
That
hand.
was with a helping hand. Flygon will die.
Flygon would have died for
Guaranteed.
sure.
Thundurus is going to be close, right? It's going to be close.
Yeah, and well, that's tough too because the Flygon outspeeds the Dragonite, which sucks.
Yeah. So now, very rough spot.
Okay, so half defense. Probably dies to a Poltergeist after that, but I don't think he'll get the chance. Yeah. So you could Iron Defense here, but that feels too passive. You probably need some damage output.
That's exactly what I thought. I kind of feel like, I needed the air balloon, right? Gotta have it because we know that there's a lot of mons on his team that get Earthquake, high horsepower, stuff like that. Felt like I needed the air balloon. In hindsight, I kind of wish that I had like Protect and Leftovers.
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
for like a full defense set. This is a rough position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the way out here because without the Protects, Magnezone dies, and I don't think Sylveon can 1v4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no way out from this position. Basically, we need.
This should be a double KO, but
and it is, but too little, too late with the paralysis there.
Even without the para.
True.
It's min speed Sylveon. You didn't get your Trick Room up.
Yep.
So he made a really big call not leading the Pumpkaboo game 3.
Huge call because if I go with the same lead, I think I win, right?
I think you do too, yeah.
So absolutely huge call. And we talked about it a little bit afterwards, and I'm like, well, if I would have just led the same thing again, then, maybe I could have just played it a little differently and used a foul play here or there or whatever. And Electric pointed out, well, if you don't trick the Eviolite off the Pumpkaboo, then you're dying to a Moonblast anyway. So Good point. There was, like you said, this is game 3 in the playoffs. It's really make or break. And I think Electric really called my lead there, which I think ended up being a great call. He kind of felt like, okay, Daddy needs to adjust here. I think he's going to go with a different lead, and I'm going to go with my strong, fast, hit him hard with spread moves, kill him mode. And it paid off.
Yeah, it did. That crit sucks in game 2. I feel like that turned the tides on the matchup. But, listen, he played to his outs well in that game, and then he clutched up in game 3 for sure. I think your plan was solid, honestly. It just came down to, when two great coaches collide, somebody's got to lose.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about it at all. As you watch these replays, you kind of try to nitpick, okay, I could have done this differently, I could have done that differently, right? It helps you learn, it helps you kind of grow as a competitor. But I think overall, I think I played pretty well. I think we had a really cool team that we prepped here, and I think Electric played really well too.
Definitely.
The crit does suck, misplays, no matter how big or small, you kind of go back and you question them. But overall, really good stuff from Electric here. And this is the squad that he brought.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much of a nuisance that Pumpkaboo ended up being. It's not even that it was like doing anything on the field, but literally just the Imprison alone with the Poltergeist was the big play there.
Yeah.
And he even had Shadow Sneak too, so even if you ran it, it wouldn't have mattered.
I had a thought at some point during prep. I'm like, maybe I should run like Shadow Punch on Dusknoir or something, because I knew he could imprison Shadow Sneak and Poltergeist if he wanted to. But I was like, you know what? I'm not that scared of Pumpkaboo. Like, we have other ways to deal with it. But it was annoying. It was just there, and I couldn't get anything going because it was just like hogging up the field with that imprison, right?
I'd say like maybe like the thing that could have turned the tide for you could have been like using Sylveon as a defensive switch in more, like in game 2 to eat the close combat, or in game 3 switch to eat the dragon move from Flygon, but that's a tough read because he could just Earthquake to take out the Dusknoir.
Exactly. Yeah, that last game in particular, like I felt like I needed to switch to Sylveon out because this spread damage is coming, but I also wasn't thinking, well, Dusknoir doesn't really want to eat all that spread damage either.
What was your lead game 1?
Game 1 was the same lead.
Or no, I meant game 3. Sorry. Yeah, play the first turn again. I want to see what happened.
Yeah.
So Thundurus and Flygon, and you led Dusknoir with Dragon.
I read Sylveon.
You led
Sylveon.
Sylveon. Okay, that makes sense then. So you really couldn't switch it out. Yeah, and you don't. I mean, honestly, maybe Magnezone would have been because then it eats the discharge and then the balloon pops.
Or yeah, exactly, discharge and then Earthquake. That's what I thought was coming. That's why I was like, okay, maybe I get off a Dragon Dance here, and then maybe Dragonite can just go wild. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yeah, but great lead by Electric. I thought that this Flygon set was pretty interesting. So physical, but also with Earth Power.
I wonder what that's for.
He said he brought that specifically for Rhydon.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
We did talk about Rhydon into this matchup being pretty decent.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that he prepped for it.
Yeah, definitely flirted with the idea of bringing Rhydon. So yeah, the leak, he also talked about, he didn't feel great. Electric said he didn't feel great about having to rely on leak, but paid off, right?
It did, yeah.
So, yeah, Sirfetch'd came in really big here. Pretty standard Rabombi stuff. And then Specs Discharge was doing pretty big chunks of damage into my team, too.
Yeah, Thundurus turned out to be a nuisance, too. Well, that was the thing, is, like, if your Trick Room option failed, the game became a lot harder for you. Just because of, like, his team has such higher speed tiers, like, it's impossible for you to keep up with that game unless you game plan for it. But I think it was worth going for the hard Trick Room. I think that gave you your best win condition.
Yeah, and maybe in hindsight, maybe something like Scarf, Icy Wind, Tauros, or Sigilyph or something.
Yeah, I know we even talked about putting Scarf on the Dragonite as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which would have probably helped in Game 3.
There's always things you could have done differently, right? We also didn't know what Electric was going to bring. If I knew he was bringing these 6 with this set, then it would be much easier to prep, right?
But yeah, I wish it was that easy. Why don't your opponents just center your pace before the match?
Yeah, right. That would be ideal. So much easier. Yeah. So, any closing thoughts here?
Well, listen, man. Congrats on a great season. It's always amazing to be a top seed going into the playoffs. You had a great run. I mean, this league is so competitive now. Mm-hmm. It's like, when great coaches collide, like I said, somebody's got to lose. So, I wouldn't take any shame in this loss, honestly. You played really well. Your prep was good. Electric also played well and had great prep. So, shout out to both of you guys for an entertaining playoff match.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I definitely don't feel bad about this season at all. The thing about Draft League and Pokemon especially is you could just lose.
Oh yeah. Dude.
Sometimes no amount of prep in the world, your opponent just brings something you totally don't expect, or sometimes a crit lands, or sometimes you get frozen for 10 turns, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it, especially Draft League too. It's like sometimes like you draft a team too that. I'm not saying this is the case with you because obviously you perform really well with the team, but like sometimes you draft a certain team and it just doesn't fit with your play style, and then you're kind of struggling to make it work. And like there's a lot of weird caveats with Draft League, and in a league with this many good coaches, sometimes it's just not your season. Like we have coaches like you, like last season, you had a lower
you could just
win
say
total,
it was bad.
and then you go from that to being one of the top coaches.
Right.
So it's like the playing field's pretty level. Like anybody can win, depending on the team they get and how they play in a 8-game sample. So
yeah, that's the randomness kind of adds to the fun a little bit too, right?
Absolutely. Like you can't take any shame in losing. And at the end of the day, it's for fun. So
yeah, absolutely not. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a blast, man.
Thanks for inviting me on for some prep and analysis. Appreciate
absolutely.
I always love talking Mons.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, well, that is the last episode of this series for this season. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be back for next season, just because this takes so much time, but we'll see how it goes.
Like that's how I felt. I was recording a lot of matches, and then I got busy, and I was like, crap, that takes so much effort.
Like
shout out to you for doing it for a whole season. That's pretty nice.
It's been really fun. The only thing is, like, I have other games I want to play, and like a kid and a job. So we'll see how it goes. We got more daddy content coming though. I'm going to be casting some playoffs coming up. So
I want to do round 2. I was gonna do some round 1 matches, but turns out I had a concert to go to last night.
Oh, well, that's fun too. All right. Well, that is all, guys. I'll see you. Maybe I'll do a season review for everybody. We'll see. All right. Catch you later.
Yeah.